Hey y'all, here with Mighty Multimedia. I haven't posted in a while. I'm going to try to actually do a new form kind of here, more long form, and I'm just going to see if it works. So, jumping right in, I am going to go through a few of the different media that has come out recently. Some of them are a little dated, but I'm just kind of catching up right now. So, I am going to start out with, and it's going to be um, with this channel a lot of superhero stuff. So I am going to start off with the category of superhero media, and then I'm going to move on to the end to a few different ones that are outside that genre. So the first one I have is Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. So I am personally a huge Shazam fan. He is, I don't know, I wouldn't say a lesser known character. I mean, since the movies come out, his profile has definitely increased. But overall, he's not a poster child of the DC universe as a lot of other heroes are. And as far as comics and everything goes, he doesn't even really have like a storied past. He's super old, but he's been chopped up and thrown to the side so many times that his story's all mangled up, and he's not doesn't have a big presence in the comics as well. But that aside, like I said, I love the character of Shazam. I mean, just all the magical elements in him. The fact that he goes down to be a kid. I don't know if that makes him relatable or whatever, but I think it at least makes him very interesting. And it doesn't hurt that he's got a great costume and is a powerhouse. So for this movie, well, I guess starting with the first one. I like the first one. It was good. It was fun. It wasn't anything special. But for Shazam fans out there, it did what we wanted it to do. So this one, I mean, it looked great, right? Like most movies do nowadays, specifically superhero movies, CGI and everything. The really leaning into some of the magical aspects of it, with the big dragon, the unicorns, and all that. That was cool. I definitely liked that. But overall, I don't know. Yeah, it was okay. The beginning of it, the idea of all of the characters, the kids drifting apart, them all doing their own thing, was a cool starting point. But then from there, I don't know, it just felt random. There was a plot, but I kind of think it fell right through the wayside pretty soon, and things were just kind of happening. Like I said, the things looked good, but I don't know. I need a movie that has a plot to keep me engaged. So with that kind of just overall digestion of the movie, I want to point to, I don't know, two just kind of like ideas, just thoughts that were coming into my head before and after I finished the movie. The first one is that I liked the idea of that magical room full of different doors, right? That was to different realities and everything. I felt like that was so underused. I felt like that movie was staring in the face, the writers, producers, whatever. I thought it was so obvious. I mean, that would be great. You have them hanging out, doing their thing, drifting apart, and then, I don't know, someone gets sucked in somewhere. They all got sucked into different dimensions across the universe, and they have to go on a journey, find each other, all of that. I don't know. I saw that clip of the movie, and I pictured what the rest of the movie was, and it was very much not that. Okay, and then the second thing, and I mean, I'm not a big Hollywood executive producer, anything like that, so there might have been a bunch of reasons why this could not have been possible, but again, in my head, watching this movie shouldn't have been a movie. Yeah, that's a weird thing to say, but I think this. The characters, the very big cast and everything, especially like the effects and all of that, the magicalness, would have lended itself a lot better to a TV show, specifically, and more to the side of the effects and everything, an animated show, right? Because you have all these little kids that they have so many different interactions with each other, and they have so many connections and relationships with each other that this, whatever it was, 2-hour movie wasn't enough time to breathe all of this out. It needed a lot more room to move around and to make us care about the characters. I mean, we do a little bit, we definitely do, but there's so much more I think we could have done. And I think that extension of time to share with the characters in this world would have done wonders. I mean, and with budgets, and specifically that this is such, like a magical centered universe with big high flying heroes and magical creatures, aliens, lightning bolts, whatever you want to call it. Um, with the budget, you can do so much more with so much less. It could look great. I don't know if you could get all the voice actors and everything. There's some bigger names here and there, but even so, I don't know. You just I just saw the vision with that. You could have done such a longer form story. You could even, shove in that the magical doors theory I was having. They get all sucked up, and then you just play through a whole season of them doing different things, meeting each other, getting lost, building relationships. I think that a show would work really well. And even after the first movie, you establish these characters, you know who they are, and then you transition them into a show where you can just let it go wild. Obviously, that's not what we got, but I would love to see it. And I don't know, DC, I don't think it's off the table yet. Something to consider. All right, so moving on to the next entry we have, and this is another DC entry. I think all the superhero ones I have actually are. I don't know why that is. I've seen a few Marvel things, but I guess it just wasn't on my head. So it's actually an animated one. So moving back to what we were talking about there, this is the Legion of Superheroes. That it came out earlier this year, not too long ago, but a few months ago now. So I want to just preface this, right? Full disclosure, I am not a fan of the Legion of Superheroes. I don't know, I can give you that same old line of it ruins the DC universe, right? I mean, if these guys are here in the future and they're all good, they can never lose. How bad could it be? But I don't know, with time travel and different dimensions all the time, I'm not too worried about that. It's more just, I don't know, the characters are bland. It's so far in the future, so set in a different place that it's not relatable. It's not my Earth. It's not the people I care about. And I don't know, there's nothing for me personally to grasp onto. So I just wanted to put that out here. But as far as this movie goes, I enjoyed it. As far as, it goes, that the large library of DC animation, which is, there's some really good ones there, but there's also a lot of not great ones. And I think this would maybe fall on the higher end of the middle area. It wasn't great, but it was pretty solid. I enjoyed it. I liked the beginning a lot. Who doesn't like a great Kryptonian origin story? Watch Krypton explode and all that. Especially with Kara here, we got a little bit more into life on Krypton, and specifically her life. I feel like you don't get to see that too often. And then even when they took it forward to present day, with her meeting Batman and Superman and everything, I don't know, it's just great to see Kara interacting with all of them. I like playing up the idea that she's older than Superman. She didn't go into the rocket as a baby. She experienced her whole life on Krypton. So seeing the interactions between her and Cal was a lot of really good stuff, I think. Moving into some of the actual story here, I knew that Brainiac 5 was a good guy, right? I mean, if you know anything about the Legion of Superheroes, he's a core member and he's a good guy. But the surprise, for those people who didn't know that, or just for going in and did the actual mechanics of the surprise in the movie, it was played really well. I don't know, you have that idea of Brainiac, so Supergirl, and the fights, the rivalry, and everything, and then all the kind of intrigue and tangling the web, and then pulling out to see that in his heart he is a good guy, and he's a tragic soul, conflicted soul, and all that. I thought that worked really well. And then, the romance between Brainiac 5 and Supergirl was a surprise for me. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's established anywhere in the comics. But even if it was, I was not aware of it. And that played out really well, I think, too. Again, that conflict moving in, And progressing throughout the story, you're seeing them kind of slowly becoming closer, and then giving that final push into them having that romantic relationship. I didn't think it was forced at all. The Kryptonian, was it mono? Maybe, I think. Um, that kind of quick, bait and switch. That's the Supergirl love interest. Oh no, wait, it's Brainiac. Solid stuff. I don't want to belabor too much the point of visuals and stuff, but it is important. I think in an animated movie too. I think the future looked great. The costumes for a lot of heroes were solid. The buildings and the technology and everything, I felt it. I don't know. It felt like a solid future to me. Um, and then the last thing I just want to mention was the Dark Circle. I thought that was a pretty fun bad guy. When you go into the future with the Legion of Superheroes, same problem with the Avengers get too big, the Justice League getting too big, X Men, any big superhero team like that is when they're so powerful. Who's going to challenge them if they have all this technology, all these members, and they can control the whole galaxy? Who's really gonna give them a challenge? Give you an interesting movie to watch, to plot, to pay attention to. But this Dark Circle idea, their faceless, creepy, moniker there, and them apparently being around for forever, for thousands of years. Their teleportation and everything, their mixed motives in the shadows slinking around. I thought that worked really well for specifically, this team, this legions of superheroes. Um, and I don't know, the Brainiac reveal at the end, it was okay. I mean, tying it in with Brainiac 5 and Supergirl worked well. It did its job and incorporated the other iterations of Brainiac that they established. The box, the end, whatever the hell that was, I don't know, superhero nonsense. That was fine. Um, but yeah, overall, it was a solid addition. Um, and I don't know, I would recommend it. Give it a watch if you're a superhero nerd, DC superhero nerd. Absolutely give it a watch. If you're trying to jump into specifically DC animation, maybe look elsewhere first. But later on, don't skip it. Give it a watch. All right, moving over to our third and final um, superhero one here. I want to talk about Titans season 4. I can practically hear the groans in the background, right? I don't know. I mean, Titans is it's a divisive show. There's been some ups and downs, definitely. I think the second one is by far the best, with Deathstroke and all that, just because of the kind of on the ground um, plot twists and going back and forth and time and showing history and conflict and everything. That was good. And a big thing is just the visuals. Any show like that you'll see that does not have a great budget, the visuals are going to be tough, especially for a superhero show. CW did good here and there, but they suffer from this problem a lot too. Overall, I don't know. It didn't take away from it too much. I think personally, I give it a lot of slack. I cut it a lot of slack just because I like these characters a lot. I like the universe, so I think I forgive a lot of the really bad visuals. But if you can get past them, I don't know. I think there's some fun story behind it. Kind of going through a few of the points, few of the characters here, because this is a very character-driven show. The bad guy, Brother Blood. I don't love the choice. I know he's a fairly iconic Teen Titans villain. He's kind of only iconic just because he happened to precede the Judas Contract, But either way, I don't know. He was okay. The character was good. I don't think he was given some great material to work with. It was nice tying it back to Trigon and that. I guess it brings this story full circle. I don't know. I think they could have done better. Again, I like the street level more, but it was fine for what it was. Superboy, weird. I do not know what the hell they were trying to go for there. He's got Lex Luthor in him, so it's coming out, and he shaves his head and turns evil just because he met Lex Luthor like one time. I don't know. Not a huge fan of that. I kind of chose to ignore a lot of that through this season. Beast Boy was solid. I liked his whole journey through the red, self-discovery and stuff. Um, I don't love Beast Boy as a character. I do like the actor in this. He is good, and he should be in more things. He should definitely be given a chance. Um, but no, he was good. I mean, that the fight when they finally kind of let him go and used probably a good amount of the CGI budget to allow him to transform into a few animals. I think it was like, well, like a gorilla and a tiger, things like that. Um, didn't look great, but you at least you got a taste of what Beast Boy is supposed to be, right? I I mean, I love Dick Grayson, right? As a character, one of my favorite characters of all time. And this story, this whole show, let him breathe. I really appreciated that. I mean, he's a crazy womanizer in this show, which I don't. It was fun. It was fun to watch. A lot of the plot just being driven by Dick Grayson's just inability to control himself when superhero women are around. But just overall, watching him kind of I don't know, evolve into the leader that he is, behind all the mess. He is a leader. Um, and his fights were good. That one at the beginning was pretty solid. I don't know if he did a whole lot after, but I'll take Dick Grayson. I will take Dick Grayson in any form I can take him. Raven, Starfire, they were good. I feel like they were trying to give Raven a really good send off and everything, tying in Raven Brother Blood. I don't know if that worked, but just kind of, I don't know. She coasted through. Same thing with Starfire. I think she had a big season in season 3 with her sister and all that. I guess her tying around to Dick and them, their plot movement as a couple was pretty good. Um, and and then Tim, right? Tim. He was okay. His training with Jason was pretty solid. I really like to see that. I'm conflicted about the Bat family as a concept overall, but I don't. I can't help but like it. When the Robins and the brothers all get together, and they usually butt heads a lot, but each kind of teach each other a lesson and all that. The training was great. I mean, it was good to see. It was good to see Jason back in action, and kind of officially passing that Robin mantle, giving Tim his blessing. And then I guess I don't know. Maybe you could call it the elephant in the room. Tim's sexuality, right? Um, I didn't hate it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think Tim is fine being gay or bisexual or whatever. I don't think that takes away from the character. But I think the relationship with Bernard was forced. I just didn't love the execution. It kind of just seemed like it was dropped on you in the middle of it and shoved in there. Um, so yeah, I don't know. And then overall, I think it was a pretty solid wrap up. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you get too many shows that get to really end on their own terms. I know there was a lot of problems, as there are in a lot of DC shows, with kind of getting canceled and stuff like that. But it seemed like they kind of let the writers and the show itself, naturally progress to a decent ending. So it's always great to see that. A lot of plot points wrapped up really well, kind of came full circle. Um, and just kind of last points, it dragged on a bit, definitely. There was some filler, there was some fluff, but in the end, I enjoyed the whole show. There's some better Titans material out there, but these characters are great, and it's awesome to see them in another medium. All right, moving away from superhero movies now, we are going to dive into the newest entry into the Indiana Jones saga. This one, the Dial of Destiny. So before I kind of rag on this movie, I want to give a few highlights, right? I mean, every Indiana Jones movie has a great opening scene, and this was no different. They used the de-aging technology. I don't know, some people were worried about, some people were excited for. and it went to great effect. He was at the end of World War II. There's this cool train scene. They used that environment, that setting really well. A lot of good action. Set up the rest of the movie, which it doesn't necessarily have to do. You've seen in um, different Indiana Jones entries, but this worked well. I loved it. The first 20 minutes were great, right? You could hear his older voice. He did not sound like a young, 30s, 40s, whatever he was back then. He sounded like an old man. And they should have just shaved him. I don't know why they kept the scruff. I didn't get that. It made him look older. When the whole point was you have to make him look younger because how old Harrison Ford is nowadays, right? But overall, really solid opener. Fortunately, I think it went pretty far downhill from there. It was great to see Harrison Ford back in the fedora, but it just didn't work. It wasn't an Indiana Jones movie. I don't know. Indiana Jones movies are, they're fast paced and they're witty and everything, and it just wasn't. It dragged. I was okay. So when this first came out, the concept coming out, trailers and everything, I was not very excited. You saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, that was a huge miss. But after a while, after it kind of played itself out, I think I watched all three movies. I learned that Temple of Doom is a prequel to Raiders, so it actually goes Temple of Doom, Raiders, Last Crusaders. Interesting, didn't know that. Really fun fact. But beside the point, that actually, I tricked myself into getting excited. So maybe that was my own fault. I blame myself. But going in, I was definitely let down. Like I said, it was just kind of boring at some of it. It dragged halfway through the movie, and it was a long movie. It was not fast like a lot of the other Indiana Jones movies. I felt the whole 2.5 hours, whatever it was. It just turned into like an average random treasure hunt movie. You just don't go in that goddamn cave again. I know that you wanted to go to this new setting and show us great visuals and stuff, but this doesn't matter. I don't care. Okay. And then I just kind of want to explain to you, show you, illuminate how I just didn't like it by giving you just kind of a few points in the movie where I just kind of grew increasingly baffled. My sister gave me that word, but I think it's a great word. There's just scenes that just increasingly just throwing stuff right on top of another, and you're just like, what the heck is going on? These are all terrible decisions, right? The first one, just I don't know, the whole concept of the dial of destiny, right? The time machine. I didn't know what you were gonna do, right? And then they fly a plane through a hole in the sky, and they open up in Roman times. What? Not the Indiana Jones formula. Follow the formula, right? The Indiana Jones formula is that you have some mystic relic, usually connected to religion, right? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull kind of messed with that, and it was great. So maybe stick to the formula for them too, right? But the formula is that, right? You have this mystic artifact, usually connected to religion. Indiana Jones finds it, and he sees some glimpse, short and sweet, of something that he can't explain, right? He doesn't really know what happened, right? It could have been a trick or something, who knows? But then it goes away, right? They lose it, or they box it up in that crazy warehouse or something. That was not what happened here, and it doesn't work. Clearly see, you can't go back in time to Roman times and walk around for, I don't know, 20 minutes, whatever it was, right? When they went through the hole in the sky, and you actually saw the Romans, baffled, right? Okay, baffle number one. Two, kind of right around there. Nazis, right? You have Nazis in there, that's fine. Indiana Jones, whatever. Using Operation Paperclip, kind of that was all a good idea. But then the Nazis were in the plane, right? And then they are flying around, and the Romans are shooting at them, just kind of shooting in general because they're having a big war. And the Nazis fall out of the plane and start shooting bullets at the random Romans who don't know what they are and have nothing to do with them. Why? What the heck? Are you like, I understand Nazis stupid, right? Nazis bad, that's fine, on the same board. But what the heck are you doing? You cannot be that stupid. That is a terrible idea. That adds nothing. What are you going to get out of that? Okay, baffle number 2, right? Christ. And then 3, right? You're going through the whole thing. Archimedes gets gets the watch, the dial. Oh, that's fun, blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, before I get to that. So he never, he never actually traveled back in time, right? And it's a one-way gate. The dial doesn't actually work. What the hell were they actually calculating to get to the place, trying to get to 1941 to kill Hitler or whatever? What calculations were you doing? Please tell me that. Whatever. But I don't know. And then, if he knew that was the only thing that was going to bring him there, then why would he make it? Because he didn't finish it in the first place? I don't know. Maybe I missed something there. That was weird. Okay. Moving over to the third and final baffled, right? Then Indiana Jones, his old ass, sitting there, whatever, and he goes, I think I'm going to stay. You got to leave me. You're going to stay? What? Indiana Jones, you're going to stay in ancient times with Archimedes. Are you insane? You're an archaeologist. You're a reasonable man. That would mess up literally everything. Also, just not his character, right? Okay. To give it full credit, right? The movie, I guess, was trying to make him broken man, right? Shia LaBeouf, they wrote him out, he killed in Vietnam, and then Marianne leaves him, right? Whatever. So he just got nothing to live for. But it's just, I don't know. That's just not the Indiana Jones I know. That he would never do that. He would never do that. Thankfully, his goddaughter or whatever pulled him out, right? But the fact that he did that, ridiculous. And then it ended up cute, right? He got back together with his once and future love. That was really sweet. We saw Gimli again. Solid, sorry. He's Gimli. I don't know. That's another cool fact. I learned a lot of Indiana Jones cool facts recently. That was all great. But just overall, it just didn't feel right. Harrison Ford is a stickler for not doing stuff like this, and it seemed to be him. He seemed to be wanting to do it. Recast him. Just recast him. Just recast him. There's a bunch of great actors, I don't want to pull too far from Top Gun here, but Miles Teller, Glenn Powell would be great Indiana Joneses. I love the character of Indiana Jones, and while Harrison Ford is and forever will be Indiana Jones, there are other characters who could carry on his legacy and, put some also great entries into the whole franchise. Overall, I don't know. If they don't recast, may Indiana Jones finally rest in peace. We'll just ignore the other movies, take the 3 great ones that we have, and hold them tight. Never let them go. Okay. All right, my penultimate review, that is an interesting word, here is probably something that you wouldn't expect. I don't know, it doesn't fit, with the new releases and stuff here. I'm going with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, right? It's a book, so definitely a different medium. And it's a very old book to go along with that, right? And I actually listened to it on audio books, right, on Audible, wherever it is, not sponsored. But I don't know, I'm busy nowadays, so it's difficult for me to find the time to sit down and get through some books. And Audible's working really well for me. I never thought I'd like it. I don't think it took away from anything, the reading experience. But besides all that, okay, so getting into it. So I don't know how many of you have actually read the book, right? There's a lot of different adaptations, but this book was not what and I'm guessing what a lot of people expected it to be, right? You think of the Frankenstein as the gruesome horror gothic, monster, terrifying the city and the mob coming up and all that, and that just wasn't it. Frankenstein was a monster. He was in there. He was gruesome and all that, and he definitely killed people in some pretty tough ways. But it wasn't, I don't know, at least I didn't see it as a horror book, I saw it more as like a philosophical conversation. Frankenstein he was well versed, he wasn't grumbling around, he was very eloquent, he learned how to do that and everything through some different explanations. But it was more about, you know, creating life and the value of life. You know, seeing behind the figure, the gruesome figure of a person, and getting down deep into the measure of a man's soul, if you want to call it that. Um, and then something about, I think, duties, loyalty that you owe to things or people that you create, or projects that you make, things like that. It was interesting. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I liked it. Actually, I thought it was better than what I was expecting. It really dug in and made you think. Um, I did miss, I don't know, some of the townsfolk running them out and all that dark gothic stuff, but I don't know. I mean, it was cool, especially for that long ago. Um, it was really, really well written. And it's to be expected. Mary Shelley is considered a great and fabled author. So I was expecting good, but just not what I was thinking. There's just a lot of talking. There was too many flashbacks, I think. I don't know. They just went back too many times. I mean, the whole thing turned out to be a flashback, count with the letters and everything. But I don't know. I think maybe that was a little overplayed, but maybe it wasn't. Uh, you know, um, in that time, it hadn't really been overplayed yet. So there's that to consider. Um, okay, I do just kind of want to throw quick negatives in. Um, I don't know. It's just it was a lot of whining. Dr. Frankenstein, right? It's the doctor. It's not the monster. Frankenstein's monster. He was just whining a lot. I mean, he had the short end of the stick. Definitely, he had a tough past, as explained, um, and he lost a lot of people through the whole time from Frankenstein's hand. But it was just too much whining for me. It was just that part of it was kind of really dragging on his introspective and just he's just falling into depression and then coming back out being all excited and doing something and then going right back and then just woe is me. But it is literature. It's classic literature. So I don't know. It didn't take away too much. I think you could have watered that piece down a little bit though. And then I don't know. It was fine. Like, it worked. It was symbolic. It was a theme, right? Thematic throwback to elementary school and even high school essays, I guess. But how many goddamn times can you use the word wretched? Someone should count, because wow, it was overused to say the least. But I liked it. I really, really did like it. It made you think, and that's all you can ask for in a good book. Okay, and the last one we have here is also a little bit of a curveball. I'm doing Independence Day, the original, the good Independence Day, right? July 4th happened just a little bit ago. You can see my July 4th garb I got going on here. Super patriotic, gotta go celebrate. But I have a tradition of, I'm sure many other Americans do, of watching Independence Day every year. I sat down with my family. It's this time of year again, and I watched it through. And let me tell you, I mean, it gets better every year. I just freaking love this movie. It's just a classic, Um, it's it's just so hype. It builds so great. I mean, I know it's fake. Aliens haven't come yet. Aliens are real. Mark my words. Just kill yourselves. Let's get this over with. But I don't know, the movie. I think it's really realistic. Just reactions to how humans would deal with the type of thing. You got the gambit, right? You got people coming up with the signs, wanting to see the aliens. You got other people terrified. You see the government with their whole, dealing of the situation. You have the brainiacs, trying to figure out what's going on. You have the military people, dealing with the actual fallout and the offensive and all that. I just think it covers a lot. And it builds up really good with them coming from the sky, right? Not knowing what's happening, feeding you information the whole time, and then you don't even really know what's going on. Just Jeff Goldblum has it figured out, and then boom, cities get wiped out. I mean, that does not happen in too many movies, right? That was cool. That the vision of the the White House exploding. That was wild, right? Wild. Um, and then it kind of just, all the heroes come together just perfectly. They had that great, just kind of adventure. Everyone, picking out little pieces, and they put the whole puzzle together. And there's just so many great, individual parts, right? Um, the whole finding Area 51, the whole like, well, that's not entirely true about that. There's not an Area 51, sir, right? And they actually show it, and the wired up, the wired up doctors and everything. He's really funny. Um, oh, that great scene where he fires the Secretary of Defense, just Bill Pullman pulling out, just love it every time when he fires that weasel. I think that's what he calls him. That's just, oh yeah, he's been pissing me off the whole goddamn movie, right? Um, and then, speaking of Bill Pullman, his just his speech. I mean, it's one of the best movie speeches of all time. It's not the best. I think there's some better ones. It's a good video idea at some point. But it's just awesome. He kills it. Up in that speech with the up in the car with the bullhorn. All RFK, all Bobby style up there, rallying everybody. And then he goes into to be a pilot. I mean, how accurate is that? When are you ever going to do that? I would think a great leader kind of actually has to stay with his troops, so nothing goes awry, and he has to be there to keep everything in line. But I don't know. I mean, it shows that this is the last gambit, right? This is the last stance. It doesn't matter if he sticks by in the back, because if this doesn't work, then they're screwed. Humanity is over. So it does work, right? And then I just want to talk about just one of my favorite banters of all time, and it's short. They don't do too much, right? Is Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. They just kill it, just back and forth. I'm not even gonna name any lines because you probably know, and if you don't, go watch the movie. Even though it's not the 4th of July, go watch it just for them too. It's just so good. They just play beautifully off each other. And I've heard, I mean, rumors. I guess who knows if this is actually true. I heard they didn't like each other. You can see when they're in the spaceship. I think which is probably near the end, a few times where they're playing with the camera, and it doesn't seem like they're actually on set for a lot of it together. So maybe it's not the banter between them. Well, they are on screen for a good amount of time, but maybe it's not even the banter together, but just the two individual actors in those roles in that scene. Just top quality. Okay, and then just I don't even remember his name, but just who can remember the drunk guy, right? That is the hero at the end of the day. You really play with expectations there when he's drunk and he's talking about he's got, he got taken by aliens and all the people making fun of him with the, were you sexually probed and all that, and his, disappointing his kids and all that, and it's just that beautiful scene at the end when his eldest kid is just proud of his dad and he knows what he did. I don't know. And he was in Nam, and he's just, I don't know, that played with expectations, and I think that puts a bow on a lot of the movie. And lastly, before I put this out, I don't know, every time I watch this movie, I think the same thought comes into my head, right? And just, damn, what it would have been like to see it first in theaters. What a great summer blockbuster Independence Day must have been. Seeing all that for the first time, not knowing what was going to happen, getting all these great performances, and just, I don't know, probably knowing that this is a movie I'm going to watch for a long time, and it being connected to a holiday that is a lot of fun and that comes around every year at the same time. That must have been one of the big ones. There's better movies out there, but as far as summer blockbuster action movies go, this has got to be up there. All right. That is it for me. I think that was like six movies maybe. This format felt pretty good. I have to edit it out. We'll see how the editing goes. I think that'll kind of play a part in if this kind of format continues. But I like being able to improvise and kind of talk off the cuff and everything. I probably won't do these videos super often because I don't know. I mean, first of all, I got to amass the different media that I'm going to review, but just also, like I said, I mean, I'm just busy. I got a lot of stuff to do, so hopefully this allows me to kind of get that creative energy out. Um, I like the new brand, the Mighty Multimedia. Moving on a little bit, I think that is a good step. I haven't actually done the logo, but I have it in my head. I'm sure it'll look good when you actually see this come out. And then for the long form clips that I was doing, or the short form clips that I was doing earlier, I think I might try. If there's some good ones in there, that I can edit out with not too much difficulty and put on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, anything like that. I'll give it a shot, but it's probably further down on the list. We'll see how well that actually goes. But all said and done, this was a blast. I am planning on doing some more. Hopefully, some new reviews come out. This summer's looking really good. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Signing off.